Hello everyone, welcome to another YouTube live here at Performante. We're going to talk about the price action of BTC. It's been a while since we've done one for the public channels, or at least a handful of days, I'm sure. So we will talk, or maybe I guess two or three at the max probably. But let's go over the current price action, what's been happening, what could happen in the future, and what we will discuss is what we're seeing right here. Kind of looks like what we saw here. And we'll get into that in the smaller term time frames, but overall, quickly, let's just discuss what we're able to see with the daily chart as well as on Gemini. So this is the CME futures exchange, which is an institutional exchange which has a lot more money flowing in and out of it compared to a lot of the crypto exchanges which run 24 hours 365 basically. So we got a descending resistance right there, which we broke, very significant area on the chart that we broke right there. And then we had a strong level of resistance. We saw it right there around $8,300. And then after we broke it, we retested as a key level of support right there. Previous resistance, new support. And it's looking pretty solid so far. We are currently now testing the previous high of around $9,100 right there. And it's looking like we could start pushing to around our next key level of resistance, which is around $9,500 to $9,600. And we can identify that by looking at the summer basically of 2019, looking at the key level of resistances and supports basically from all of the summer. And then this is in the fall where we have a major rejection after that 60% pump from all the way at the $7,800 area. We got a massive pump. It was about 40% from top to bottom on some exchanges. And then we saw a very strong rejection off of our key level of both horizontal resistance as also descending resistance. But overall, we are climbing back up to the previous level, I guess, of the recent high, because you can say that these are more recent highs, but this is a very significant level on the chart right here. And also going into the double digits, like 10K, will be a very key area as well. So overall, it does look like we are still in a strong uptrend. We were already talking about that Elliott wave A, B, C, D, E, or the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we get some consolidation like the ABC or something along the lines of that. But overall, I think we do still have some space to climb before we hit some major resistances. And that is where our more shorter term, smaller time frame analysis comes from. So now that we've discussed that, we can now go to, I'll just talk about it a little bit on the daily chart, but overall we're going to go into the smaller time frames and discuss why I think the current position we're in right now, like right here, could look similar to what we saw around here. So not much more to talk about on the daily chart. Just wanted to show it in a different exchange just so you can see where we currently are. We can move this a little bit higher, but overall, I think 95, 96. On this chart, the lows closing on the daily are a little lower. So I'm basing my analysis a little bit more on the CME futures exchange. But overall, I do think that next level of push could appear. So now we'll talk about how I potentially am going to play this. So first, we're going to go and look at this current section, and then we'll go and talk about this section that we had back in June of 2019. So this is the current price action that we're able to see. Let's get our snip here and discuss the flow of things right now. So we had a strong push to the upside, creating higher highs and higher lows. This is a low, this is a higher low, these are higher lows, this is a high, this is a high, this is a high, creating higher highs and higher lows. And then we got a very, very strong rejection from the $9,100 area. So right around here, we saw a strong level of sell sensitivity, which basically instantly dropped the price from $9,100 all the way to the $8,600 support, which we held that for a little while, and then we broke that zone again and created a lower low. And then that was a little bit of a bearish momentum move because we were making lower highs and lower lows. But the thing that we want to look at is we were holding a descending trend line right here, and then after we broke it, this area right here, I want to try to make sure that you guys pay close attention to how this move actually happened, because you don't see this type of price action too often from BTC unless it's going to keep the momentum going. It's not like it kind of goes like this and instantly panic drops. For most of it, it mostly kind of goes like this, and then you'll have a bit of consolidation, and then you'll just have that monumental move to the upside, sort of. And we do have to manage our risk, but we'll give you an example of that actually happening in the previous price action very shortly after this is done. I'm done my explanation within this. So this is going to be the descending resistance right there, and once we broke it, we can see that we're making very, very key breaks in resistances, holding to supports, key break in resistance, holding to support, key break resistance, key break resistance, holding a support. All these little moves to the upside, but it's increasingly going more significantly up to the upside. It's ascending in a steeper momentum the more times it's breaking supports, as breaking resistances and holding supports, basically. So it is exponentially moving higher up, which is an indication that there's a lot more bullish volume coming into the market. And we can also identify that looking at the volume within this area here as well. So overall, it's looking pretty good. It's looking very bullish. And that's why we think that we could have a consolidation here. And then we could potentially grab a potential low, and then we'll look to move to the upside. But initially, we don't want to enter prematurely, and we want to really ensure that we're going to give the price action some ability to confirm our entry before we enter. So now that we've gone over this structure of the market, we can then look at the previous price action, this zone right here. And this is basically from the start of 2019. We can see that all this zone was a key level of support at around $7,500. And then we can see that also it was a key level of resistance, new level of support. So just wanted to make sure we know where we are now and then where we're looking into. So this is a very, very similar type of structure that we saw. And let's get our snippet here to discuss it in good detail. So this is that same descending trend line that we were talking about. Same double top here. And once we broke the zone, it's just the fact that we're in such a similar price action where it's making these little incremental moves to the upside and then having little consolidations and then moves to the upside. It's a very weird way to actually move in terms of the price, where comparatively to a lot of price action in BTC, it's not necessarily like that. You see in bullish pushes, yes, it is. We can see that occurring right here as well. But overall, this is a little bit uncommon compared to most of the random impulse pushes and exhaustions that we see here, where Bitcoin's a little bit more known for, where we see a solid pushes to the upside and downside, whereas this is very different in terms of the price action and how it's actually moving up. So this is a key similarity that I wanted to really illustrate with looking at the two charts, because to me that is a pretty valid indication that we could see something like this appear before moving to the upside again. And just talking about the breakout here, we have a key level of resistance all along here, and then it turns into a new level of support. We get one major confirmation that buyers are entering the market, and then this 3-wicked second confirmation that the bulls are entering the market is, for me, enough confirmation that I would probably enter at either this bullish candle or this bullish candle. On the 4-hour chart, looking at it, on the hour chart, I don't exactly know because I'd have to look back again. But I'd definitely be looking to enter after we've confirmed that second hold of the support there. That for me is confirmation, because we've basically completed the cup, and then that is the handle. Some people want the handle to be below the resistance like this, and then we get a breakout to the upside, but I don't mind the handle being on either top or bottom of the key zone we need to break. In this case, it was above the key zone, where this is the key zone we needed to break. It broke it with pretty easy, with ease basically, where it just kind of had a little support above or just below the resistance there, and then it bounced around and then it shot up. So it wasn't too challenging, but overall, I do think that this looks pretty similar to what we're seeing right now, and I think looking back, you'll be able to see what I mean. So just take a good look at this, and then let's see the current price action. It's pretty darn similar, and this is a very simple price action pattern to identify, where you're just looking for a descending zone and a key level on the chart that you're about to break. All along here is a key level of resistance. We see a lot of sell pressure, maybe not so much right here, But we can see right here and right here, as well as the $9,100 zone right here, is a key level of resistance. And we can see we could be on top of this little high here. So overall, we could be starting that double confirmation before we move to the upside. So overall, I am still looking for longs to enter. And I don't want to make it too rambly, but if we want to just take a quick look at how similar this price action is, it's making those incremental steps with very, very small amounts of buy volume, but it's making the steps to break those resistances, hold and supports, like breaking a resistance and then I held a support, previous resistance, new support, and then previous resistance, new support, and then it started kind of going a little bit more parabolic there. So that's why we are looking for a healthy correction, or at least a consolidation at around this zone. Maybe it could be a little smaller like this, but if we see a couple touches of support and they were both holding, and if we look on a little bit smaller time frame like the 15-minute, and we're able to see that yes, bulls are entering at this zone, and we could probably enter at this point, setting a stop loss maybe below this previous resistance where it could be used as a support like we saw here. So that's the overall outlook I see for BTC, and I wanted to really make sure that you can understand why I think it's bullish. Is we've seen an example in the past where we see a very looping teacup kind of shape where it's a cup and handle, and then you see either consolidation above this key zone or we get it below the key zone, but overall the momentum is moving to the upside. We are gaining traction, and there's people who bought all along here who are now in the money, and once it breaks the zone, I think a lot of people are either going to add to the position. That's factor number one. And factor number two, there's people probably shorting because they have a bias of the price moving to the downside. So they're shorting all along here somewhere, and this is their last hope of any level of resistance. Their stop losses are probably at this zone. If not, they were at this zone here or somewhere along these zones. But overall, there's probably people that are a little bit egotistic or like to not be wrong and don't set stop losses, and this is their final hurrah before they have to actually take that loss, probably, if they've entered here and haven't gone out. So this is the major shift in momentum, where the people that got in and bought here, they would be looking to potentially enter again. I personally wouldn't at this point unless we are entering at the low here, but if we're entering at the high, we'd need to see a push and then a pullback validating it as a support before we look to enter long. But this is a key point on the chart. That's what I wanted to make the point of, is the fact that this is a key zone on the chart, and breaking this zone is pretty significant. And we're not looking for a tiny little break and a pullback on some 5-minute time frame. We're looking at bigger time frames. We're looking at 1 hour and 4 hour charts, as well as the daily chart, to look at the bigger term aspect of where the price could go, as well as the weekly. But those are the three key time frames that I like to use in order to do my technical analysis. Everyone's different, but they've worked well for me in terms of being able to identify the bigger moves using smaller term time frames, which allows for pretty significant risk reward measures or structures, I guess you could say, where you can have a risk reward of 3.5 to 1, 4 to 1, 4.5 to 1, instead of having these 2 to 1 risk rewards that like a lot of people take. And I do take 2 to 1 risk rewards 100%, but I structure them in a way where I take 25% off at each take profit, so I'm not going to be taking all the profit. Like, for example, if I entered right around here because it broke the key level of descending resistance right here, I'd have a stop loss below the previous low, which is right here, and I'd have my first take profit at a risk reward of 2 to 1. I have to have a 2 to 1 risk reward before I take any profit. So let's say it would be at this high here, because that kind of looks like about half. So let's say it's just breaking this high. That would be my first level of take profit. The previous high, looking at the structure, would be around this zone here. That would be my second level of take profit, and then the high would be around here. So if you're looking at risk reward, if I'm selling at these 4 spots, let's say I'm averaging right there, that is a very significant risk reward. And that's what I mean in terms of putting separate take profits, because you can then have the ability to make more money instead of just having a 2 to 1, and that's it. And you'd move your stop loss higher up as the price increases, so you're able to capture it. Because if this goes down and breaks this zone, I'd have my stop loss probably right around here, so I at least capture, up to here, instead of if it absolutely nosedives, I'm not just leaving it at this zone. So that's something to definitely keep in mind if you are new to trading, and if you are not, you probably know this already. So that's the overall outlook for BTC. I'm not going to talk about other charts, other alts I was going to say, because we will discuss that in the Discord. If you're interested in learning more, or you'd just like to understand technical analysis, or just want my 2 cents or opinion on the markets, you can enter the Discord absolutely for free. We have our public chats where we create YouTube videos for them. We do have a lot more videos within the private channels within the subscription. So we have a $60 subscription. Your first month is 50% off, and you will be able to receive all the trades that we're taking, about to take, and analyze the trades that we have taken, and kind of go over what we did right, what we did wrong, and just basically better ourselves and teach you guys how to become better at trading, because it's a lifelong process, and there's definitely a lot of tips and tricks that you could do to make that learning process a lot quicker. Simple things like writing a journal, having some level of an Excel sheet or some trading journal which allows you to track your trades, and also possibly even get information from those efforts to get that information. So for example, if you're collecting information already, why not use some level of Excel skills in order to get information and extrapolate the necessary steps in order to actually get better? So things to definitely consider, and we have that all within the Performante Premium subscription service. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, happy trading, everyone.